All right, Tom, good morning from me and good evening to you.
Yes, early evening, early evening. Hey, everyone.
Yeah, yeah, I'm glad to get you on finally. I think it's going to be an exciting topic based on just some of the slides that I've seen. I always have enjoyed from your talks some of the fun and the playfulness I think that you bring into some of the conversations.
Okay.
Last, go ahead.
pa- So
Last time
maybe
you
I
were
start
on, yeah, I think you were talking about. I remember it was
audiences.
app.
Audiences.
It was the app audiences. Yes,
Yeah,
exactly. We just got that as a new feature, which we had been desperately needing for years. So that was a year and a half ago, I think.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So welcome
And
back.
and I'm really happy to be here once again. And in November,
Hmm.
we had the first application where we exceeded the audience limit. So now the team is looking for doing it something differently because we have too much audiences. Maybe it's also a little bit of a design or application or solution design thing,
Hmm.
but maybe it's also a little bit about the limit of number of audiences possible. So
Is it
maybe it's a mixture of both.
is it still 8? Is the limit, or
I think it is technically 10.
okay? I know it's not
Official,
a lot.
officially, or official learn documents is telling 20. So maybe the integer has not changed in the code from 10 to 20. Not sure, but not sure what's wrong or right.
Yeah, no, I mean, either way, it's still a massive improvement from what we had, which was one workspace to one app, which led to a lot of
Uh,
extra
Absolutely.
artifacts in the
No,
service. Yeah,
it's great. It's great. I
but
really love that.
yeah,
But nevertheless,
exactly. And one thing that I want to do, I think, to get started is I'm sure there's a few people who will either be tuning in today or watching this later who maybe don't know who you are or your involvement in the community. So if you want to give a little background on yourself, I think that'd be a great place to start.
okay. So uh, when we look at my about me slide, there is, so I will skip that, then I will skip that, but because I do it now, there's a number on this slide telling how many years I'm doing this. And I updated the number from 20 to 25, I guess, early last year or late the last before last year. But still, after that number, there's a plus. So I'm doing this for quite some time, focusing on, or more or less, only using Microsoft analytical tools from the Microsoft analytical stack. Then someday I started speaking. This earned me Data Platform MVP award. Now it's the 6th. I'm so bad with a timeline recognition. Maybe it's I now have 6 batches, so I'm doing this for a little bit of time.
Nice.
Yes, it is, and it's still fun
Yeah.
because it helps me learning. It helps me to improve more or less every day, and also doing contributions to the community. I know we all grow and learn together. So this is great.
Yeah, to, just to paraphrase on what you said, there's definitely an incentive to when you have an MVP to drive to continue to learn, provide community
Yep.
feedback, and just as one little nod off, maybe you saw Matt Allington's blog post recently where he talked
Yeah.
about like this is his final year, and he actually mentioned kind of a similar thing, like as long as I have an MVP, it's impossible to 100% relax because there's always a little bit of a drive to need to produce content or to learn or to keep up to date, which is one of the reasons he's kind of transitioning into retirement. But for people like us and him, it's very much a strong motivator to put in effort to improve ourselves and our skills and also make sure that we contribute to the community.
Yes. So I consider learning from the community and paying back to the community is some kind of, let's say, self-fulfilling prophecy. So it helps. But yes, Matt is 100% correct. It's like there's pressure. So, and
Yeah.
do I do enough to be rewarded or not? Because I love having this internal insights. And this is also something important. So this is how I do not want to lose this. And this is the second reason why I try to do this community thing next to learn together. Yes.
Exactly. And I think circling around introductions, also the conversation on just MVPs, and I think both of us, I checked as you were talking, and yeah, I have 6 chips as well that I've had in the community. I have that one blue one for the 5-year marker, you know,
Yes, and one
and then,
and one on
mhm.
top of that.
Yep. I
So
will say
then,
that it was an extra special year to get the 5-year chip. Like that was a very happy, year to get like, okay, I've had half a decade of this now. Digressions aside though, I think I love the title of your topic today to bring it into what we'll be talking about. But yeah, Fabric, Lakehouse, Hell or Hell or Glory is I will be really interesting to see your perspectives on I think playing both sides and giving us a nice overview of um, what can be or cannot be accomplished with the tool.
yes. Um, so then this means starting right into it or into my couple of slides.
If you'd like
Um,
to, yeah, I can click over
yeah,
and transition whenever you're
please.
ready.
And if there are some questions,
Mhm.
um, just throw them in.
Absolutely, yep. And for the
Okay.
audience attending, always drop the questions in the chat, and I will be able to populate them on screen for both Tom and I to discuss.
So then now let's start Microsoft
Mhm.
Fabric Lakehouse. So my mouse is very. So who I am, I talked about this already, so I will spare this. Microsoft Fabric Lakehouse, what's that? And it's not only tech, it's also about people. And this is how I will talk about the Lakehouse today. I will not talk about the technical intricacies of data tables, but it's a little bit more people-centric. So next to this, if you want to get in touch, I'm on LinkedIn. I am on X. I'm still excited to say Twitter, but I'm also on X. Even if I'm in love with Fabric and especially the possibilities, I also love writing docs. And together with Phil Seamark, now working on the Fabric Cat team, I published a book about DAX some time ago. So, nevertheless, Microsoft Fabric is entering the stage, making our cozy Power BI world a little bit more cramped also, because it changed. For all of you who are not familiar with what this Fabric thing is, it's an analytics platform that combines existing Azure services, for example, Power BI or parts of the Synapse data warehousing, data engineering experience into a single platform. But it's not just, there's a saying in German, meaning old wine in new bottles, something like that. It's definitely not just that, because
Okay.
my pardon, read.
Yep, I'm
Okay.
here.
So sorry. I was, maybe I'm getting old and start hearing voices in my head. So it's not that old existing products have been rebranded. It's not only that. There's a couple of things going on, and one thing that is going on is this concept of one lake. This one goes down to Microsoft marketing, or whoever branded the term. One lake is the OneDrive for data. Maybe it's not a good introduction into this team if you are talking to our IT security officers, global IT security officers, because the word one and OneDrive for data, it is a little bit of concern, and then it takes me some time to settle things, straighten things out again. So even if it's simple, maybe it's not OneDrive for data. But what I love the most about Fabric, and I consider this maybe the greatest ever effort throughout the data platform stack, is the change of the storage format. The compute or SQL engines we know, or the compute engines we know, are now able to read natively from data parquet files. And data parquet files are stored in OneLake, and OneLake is Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2. From a technical perspective, and because I have one Fabric tenant in my organization, it's also considered being one lake, but technically it's more than just one storage account, most probably. But I consider this really, really cool. The change of the storage format, meaning whenever you have already heard from Power BI now has become its got its third data connection mode. First import, second direct query. The third one is now direct lake. This is because now our beloved Vertipack engine is able to directly read from data parquet files, and this is completely different than reading from a SQL server in direct query mode. So this is what I meant by the storage, the native storage format that can be read and written from compute engine like SQL engine is now changed to Delta, and this is great from my perspective. So because it enables, we do not have to take care getting data out if other applications like SQL want to read from a SQL Server DB. Now all applications who are able to read a Delta Parquet file can read it without transferring data. So this is Fabric. And now when we are talking about lakehouses, we will sooner or later get in touch with some architectural concept. So, and basically this architectural concept is called the medallion architecture. This looks quite familiar with more or less all data warehouse technologies or conceptual things. We know we have some kind of landing zone or ingest area or staging or whatever it was called. More or less it was always three. So, and it's also very important that we understand that this concept, or that lakehouse, is a concept and not per se a certain set of technologies. If I want to build a lakehouse, I need technology that is capable of doing certain things. And this is what the lakehouse combines, is the, let's say, the durability, isolation, consistency, or asset, what we do know from our relational data warehouses, with the capability of storing data in absolutely the most various data types, the data lake. And so this is a promise, maybe, of the data lake. It combines the capabilities of the data lake with the asset capabilities of relational warehouses. So this is what we know, but nevertheless, it's a concept, and it's great if there is a separation of compute and storage. What is also done with the fabric thing, compute meaning Vertipack, we do not have to store data into an engine like the Vertipack engine, as we did with the import mode, to have all the capabilities, these unique capabilities of the Vertipack engine. We have the possibility to use this amazing Vertipack engine without storing in a whatsoever proprietary data format. The same is valid for SQL Server. Is able to do amazing things with T-SQL, but we do not have to store it any longer into the SQL Server DB, because now SQL Server Engine is able to read from delta tables as well. So, and this is one feature of a lakehouse that this capability is one aspect if I want to design a lakehouse. And so this is, maybe you have seen this if you are in data warehousing for quite some time, and if you have this strong relational background, then this looks familiar. Is this really that new? No, it's not. Because what goes on between these things is data quality gets improved from landing data into the first stage, bronze, until it will be used by, for example, BI or data scientists. So this is a little different. We have the bronze layer where we land data in any format. Then we provide a little bit of structure. And this then also will already be transformed data into delta paquet files or delta tables. And then finally, we start maybe creating a gold layer where we are adding additional fields or aggregating data for the need of dedicated applications. Some teams need aggregated data, other teams need more detailed data, and in addition to that, maybe other tables. So here we start in the code layer, we prepare the data for different applications, different teams.
Well, and this is just as a quick comment on that too, is unofficially we almost kind of had a bronze, silver, and gold medallion structure even before Fabric in Power BI, because Microsoft's recommended practice with data flows was often to have two data flows. You had your bronze, which you just dump the raw data. You had your silver data flow to process, and then you had your semantic model. So it's people have kind of been using these even without knowing the names for a little while in some situations.
Absolutely. So we have to. So this is why I call the Lakehouse also a concept that requires certain technical capabilities, but how to process and organize data is, from a conceptual perspective, is not new. So and this is this is fun that you just mentioned this data flow thing, because today I was talking to a colleague about, do we need 2 or 3 and data flows, meaning extract, transform, and load. Load is then the final table structure that then will be consumed by the semantic model, as it is now called, or as we do know as the Power BI data set. Or do we just have 2? And then, as always, it depends. And I will. So this is also something that I will cover in the next slides. As always, it depends. Maybe it's not a good idea, or whatever we are doing is becoming more ELT instead of ETL, because we are extracting data, we put this unprocessed data into a data sink, then we transform it from there, and then we load it. So this means we load it first into our realm, and we do not transform the data on its way into our realm. So maybe this is a change, but as always, it depends as well. So now, before I get into this Lakehouse and this people thingy, how do we work today? Not sure. I assume you will do, because what you see right here are the workspace roles: admin, member, contributor, viewer. And this did not change now, and also you might recognize some of the tasks that we are doing. And now I lost my mouse. This is,
there you go.
Here it is. So maybe you are recognize some of these features if you are also, let's say, tasked with Power BI admin things. Here are some tasks. What in Power BI admin or Sherpa is doing all the day. And then we are able to we are able to store these items into our workspace. I'm not sure if you use targets or goals, or if you are using a data mart, but maybe you use paginated reports. So maybe you have 5 or 6, at least 2 report data set or semantic model items stored in different types in a workspace. And now, as we are working or start working with Fabric, this has dramatically changed. Because now we are able to create, because why is this? Because if we are enabling Fabric capabilities in our Power BI Premium capacity, or add additional Fabric capacities, then we are suddenly able to create new items we did not have, could not be created in our workspace, because the workspace is the container where everything is happening. A lakehouse, a lakehouse, a notebook, whatever this means, a Spark job definition, an environment, notebook, experiment, all these things are new. And because these things are new, maybe we should, now we are, all these are the new things that we can create if we have access to a fabric workspace. And because there are only these 4 roles that are controlling who is able to do what, things become more, let's say, difficult. So because now I'm start talking about people and how this will reflect on our lakehouse, I will cover this. But first I have to talk about this Power BI team. And this Power BI team is eagerly waiting to have fabric capabilities enabled in their workspace, because one person is also good for data integration, meaning is able to use Azure Data Factory, part of the workload, the fabric workload. And maybe another person is also able to data science. I just skipped a slide. So this one is also able to do some data science capabilities because of her education and things like that. But I'm pretty sure that the team that is creating a fabric-based solution is growing, because people who are able to do everything exceptionally well are like unicorns. Maybe these people, if you are reading a job offer and the people are asking you, and yes, I ask you, do you have 15 years of Power BI experience? Probably not, because it's not that old. People who are good with everything that is possible in fabric are rare. And for this reason, the team, I'm pretty sure that the number of people who have access to a workspace is growing. And now I'm coming back to a fabric solution and a lakehouse also. If I'm considering the workloads, of course, somehow it starts with data integration. We need data. Now we can do this with different tools. So maybe you are aware of Azure or Data Factory, and then there's also something called a shortcut that also helps to integrate data. And there's also this new thing, Data Flows Gen 2. These are the tools that help us to land data or ingest data into the landing zone, into the bronze of the lakehouse. Then things are going on. And then things are going on, and we have data transformed into a silver, and into the silver layer, and the gold layer. And I think it's a good idea to put these different colors of metal in its own workspace, because then it will be quite simple if you want to spread workloads across different capacities. So this is not related to Lakehouse design. More or less, it's specific to fabric related design, Lakehouse design, because I consider a capacity. So this is how I imagine a capacity. Sorry, this is how I imagine a capacity. And if you look at this size of this workspace image, it fits exactly into this. So a capacity, this is how I imagine a capacity. It brings capabilities to a workspace. And now the fabric capacities start way more smaller than the premium capacities. So this is not related to Lakehouse design, but it's maybe a good idea if I'm starting to think about a Lakehouse and this medallion architecture. Maybe it's a good idea to spread this across different workspaces, because then it can also be spread more easily spread across capacities if you realize you need more compute power for bronze and silver activities, or the other way around. Then it's easy to spread this workload on its own compute, on its own capacity. Yep. But it doesn't matter too late.
Exactly. And even before Fabric, like people were kind of doing that with premium per user and dedicated capacities. You free up the compute that you mostly need for your production in gold, which is the hot storage that you want, because it's going to be accessed the most. So exactly. it is good and you know, I'm sure you know this term, Tom, the noisy neighbor, which is, you know, you want to prevent other workspaces and other stuff from crowding each other and obviously causing you to spike and hit capacity. So very good point on breaking those up. I do have one question for you just on this, because there was a little bit of a chat in the question in the group chat about like bronze layers and silver, and it makes sense to have the gold layer for the semantic model, but bronze and silver largely are still haven't really reached that, and somebody was kind of essentially wondering, why not just do your bronze and your silver together? Why not ingest your data and transform it all in one? Like, why does it have to be separated? What would you say?
As always, it depends.
Of course.
So it depends on the amount of data you have. It depends on the frequency data arrives in your landing zone. So sometimes, sure, sometimes it's good to spread this out because of the amount of data, the complexity you have, and sometimes it's absolutely sufficient. So I have, for this, let's say, simple Lakehouse, I have 3 workspaces, 2 capacities. Even if these 2 capacities maybe are more cheaper than the P1, it's not necessary. As always, it depends. And from a Lakehouse perspective, it's also not necessary. So this is something that this I want to make clear. On Tuesday next week, I talk about Learn Together, the DP 600 a new certification, the new fabric-based certification. And now I do this together with a fellow MVP. We are presenting live, and here we are. I show you what this is. No, it's not this. It's called, because we are talking about the medallion architecture. Here, I have a lake house called sales. And because the data that has to be processed to create a table called customer called gold is so simple, because it only has a given set of CSV files. These CSV files will be processed to Silver, and then from Silver, all these fact tables are derived. So this is in total contrast what my slides are showing, because my slides are showing I have 3 workspaces, meaning 3 lake houses, and one is called bronze, one is called silver. No, it does not have to be. It depends. It's a concept that you can use with a single lake house on an F2, the smallest F capacity, or if you are bold enough and ask your boss for an F 2048 capacity, maybe you will ask hiring me, because I want to experience this sheer compute power of an F 96. So I would love to experience that.
Just have a toy to play with. A very expensive toy.
Yes, but but as always, so sometimes I'm wondering about people considering this or that too expensive. And why is this not free? Most often the reason why something is not free is because someone else has to pay the rent. And as always, whatever we want to do, we are paying a price. Either in money, either by spending extra time because we have a slower car. This means I need more time to get from A to B. We have to pay a price. And yes, maybe the F 2048 is a little bit overpriced, most probably, but maybe she is why I'm considering being an F 2048 capacity a she. Whatever, maybe it's well or good spent money. But I never had the possibility to look at the 2048 capacity. So P1, the smallest premium, corresponds to an F64. P2 is an F128. 3, 2, blah blah blah. So then my numbering in mass without Excel becomes difficult. So, and now that data science people using dedicated compute power for whatever, this is also an addition to the Lakehouse architecture. Some people are putting data science at the right side of gold, some, as I do, between silver and gold. It's a matter of taste, I guess. Lakehouse is to make it once again crystal clear, is the separation of compute and storage. And then that's it, more or less. Then you can have a one lakehouse with files, table names, or three lakehouses separated across three workspaces, whatever. And this is how it looks like and might look like. And we have different skill sets. And this is basically the reason why I would always recommend organizing my lakehouse workloads, maybe the metal as well across different workspaces. The reason for this is it's simple doing this with Fabric, spreading lakehouse design architecture across workspaces does not necessarily mean it becomes more expensive, but a workspace has only 4 roles, and I want to create things. I need at least to have the contributor role in this workspace. And because the team is growing, the probability that accidents happen by, oh, what is this notebook? Oh, this cool looks good. And out of a sudden, I have changed code because my only skill is creating ugly donut charts and not reading Python code, and the other way around. I like to separate the workloads because I'm working for an insurance company, and maybe every third, maybe every second thought is about risk mitigation. And this is why I think about Lakehouse in terms of workspaces and possibly also in terms of capacity, but this is not needed for, capacities are not related to Lakehouse architecture. So, and then this is also something that we also might need to, so this is the data owning workspace. So here, this is a wrong word.
Lakehouse.
Sorry.
I was just, saying what you were typing
in. So this is, if you are looking, if you have the opportunity or are in the lucky position that you see these icons inside your workspace, then you maybe think this is the icon of the Fabric warehouse. And yes, you're 100% correct. It is. But it's also the icon of the SQL analytics endpoint of the Lakehouse. Both have the same icon and are more or less on its way to become absolutely identical in the sense of capabilities. So this means if I have a SQL Analytics endpoint and I want to provide access to a different team that is not residing in my workspace, because always do not forget, being assigned to a role in a given workspace also means I can edit, delete if things go really bad, delete in this workspace. But if I only want to provide a given set of tables to a different person somewhere else, I can do this. What is this? I'm sorry. My slides.
No worries.
So obviously, well, it's obvious now that I'm not a PowerPoint MVP. So what I was trying to say, I can restrict access to the tables inside my Lakehouse. And then people who are able to access this Lakehouse see only the this given set of tables. And if you're looking right here, this is a single person, but it can also be an Azure AD security group comprising a given set of people. So I do not have to do this for 100 people. If these people are in 2 groups, I can do this for 2 groups. And then the green one is able to create starting data modeling, the data modeling workspace, and create a semantic model based on this. And this is what is going on here. Sorry. This is how it can be done in Power BI, and then I can create my, so here I have access or restrict access to just 2 tables from a SQL Analytics endpoint, and then I can start creating my my semantic model. Saying this, there's one thing that is not right there, but will change a lot. So, and this one thing is called one security, and I call it another game changer because my favorite game changer is this separation of compute and storage. Second, Delta Paquet. Third is this one security thingy.
Okay.
So this does not mean that Fabric is not safe. It is. It's also cool without one security. But with this one security, I can provide access to a data item inside my OneLake. And this definition of access is trickled downstream to all the compute engines that are consuming this data artifact. This, for example, this data table. It will become immediately hidden from teams in creating a semantic model who are not part of this group, who's able to see that. The same is valid for all the other compute engines, all the users of compute engines. They will not able to see this item. And this is amazing.
Anytime we can consolidate and reduce the number of managed items is always a plus, right?
Absolutely, because this is sometimes my colleagues who are working longer for this insurance company asking me, oh, this adds risks because I have to do this once, twice, 3 times. Now this will reduce the number of configuring things immensely. And if the last time I checked the release plan, it will be here in the second quarter of this year. So this can be April Fool's Day or maybe the 30th of June, who knows, or maybe the 10th of July. But it's coming, and this is something I also love about this MVP thing. I have seen it in a not an early stage, and it is amazing. It's so, yeah. So because I started everything with hating ducks to loving ducks, I was never ever thinking that I would be so excited about security features as I am now, but I am, and I guess this is for a good reason. But maybe also because I'm older now and I do not do this fancy query things much longer. So, and with this said, get ready for new capabilities. Understand the core concept of Fabric. If you have a strong heritage in relational data warehousing, Microsoft is always telling us, what is the difference between Lakehouse, data warehouse? Yeah, it's a matter of taste. I consider the Lakehouse being the conceptual foundation for all my Fabric-based solutions. So if you have a strong heritage in relational data warehousing, and now you're closing in of Fabric, maybe you want to consider the Lakehouse or read a book about lakehousing, because maybe it will not start tomorrow, or if it does, then do the things that you are most comfortable with. Yes, and that's it. Thank you very much.
Beautiful. And look at that perfect timing as well. So let me go ahead and flip this back to our talking screen. There is also some very fun conversations that I think were somewhat self-answered by some of the audience members. But I think you fostered a lot of good thinking on medallions. A few individuals, see if I can actually pop up the message here from Guillermo. He very much liked the idea of kind of separated workspaces as a good thing to think on. So that was a good suggestion from a few people. So I think you did a good job of providing some new ideas. The term that I love to throw around is the art of possible. It's hard to know sometimes what to ask, what to look for, or what to do when you don't always have a full concept of what capabilities are there. So helping to explain what tools are in your toolbox gives people a better way to creatively think about how to use those tools. So I think you did a really good job explaining the toolbox.
So absolutely. So I am currently talking with a lot of people who heard about Fabric. And there's this one team. Hey, Tom, we want to use Fabric. And so let's say I am somehow responsible for this Fabric in our organization now, yes, we're a Fabric user, yes.
Yeah.
And then, yes, we want to sync our reports with an Azure DevOps repo. Oh, just that. Okay. So, and then other teams are, yes, we want to use, have it more simple to use data factory pipelines. So this is exactly a problem as well. However, it depends on what do you know about Fabric? What is your experience? So if you have no idea about all the capabilities, I consider doing this DP 600 preparation course, not the certification, but hey, what is this data factory pipeline? What is that? And what is the difference? What is the difference between a notebook and data flows?
Is this the official like DP600 Learn course or the one on Microsoft Learn?
Yes. So DP600 is a certification, but there's also an Azure a preparation skill challenge on the Learn initiative. I can post it in the comments here after our session. I will look for it, and then
I've actually been posting links as you've been talking.
Okay.
So if there's relevant links to some of your sections, funnily enough, as of yesterday, I just submitted my questions to the vendor that Microsoft uses for writing the practice exam questions. I was one of the subject matter experts that wrote some of the practice questions. So if people are welcome to come complain to me if any of them are bad. I might have written one of them. I'm sure the quality is good, but yeah, I actually just finished writing a bunch of exam questions for people who are going through the course to prepare for actually taking the DP600 test.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's a great course. It does a really good job of covering all of Fabric. The one thing that I'll say as a person who's taken the test, not as insider information, just a person who's also taken the public test as well. The only thing that I'll say is that there's not a lot of coding questions, but it would be recommended to be familiar with reading SQL statements and reading Python statements. You won't get a ton of questions on them, but you don't need to know how to write them, but knowing how to at least read them will help. So that's my one encouragement is you could be really familiar with Fabric, but if you've never seen a SQL or Python statement in your life, you'll probably get tripped up on a few questions. So some basic understanding of the syntax can be helpful. Maybe spend an hour just learning how to read the code.
For example.
Yeah, exactly.
So it was a pleasure.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's great to have you on as always. I enjoy I think you do a good job of outlining kind of fact and as you call it, like personal preference and stuff in your topic. So it's the fact and opinions that I think you have a bit of fun with, but it makes your presentations less dry. There's fun. You have some fun with it. So I appreciate that.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
But I think it's always about opinions. So when I started my career, there was, let's say, the first year, the second year, and the third year, I never ever missed the latest update of SQL Server Management Studio. Then I fell in love with Power BI, and I realized, oh, I missed the SQL Server Management Studio because Power BI was great. And now entering Fabric for quite some time, and I have access to this Fabric thing as an MVP and also as a large organization as a private preview program for let's say, more than 1 month, I fell in love with Lakehouses because it's conceptually great, but maybe it does not fit each and every case, and it's also not. And so I'm pretty sure that there are access databases out there who are doing a great job. And because now I say it's a lakehouse thingy, that maybe does not mean you should convert your access database into a fabric-based lakehouse. Maybe to Excel instead, but different story.
Just as a comment on that, the one thing that I would say at the end of the day is the reasons for migration and upgrades are usually to save time or cost. If you have something that's an old legacy system, but it has zero maintenance, there's no manual data entry every week, it's not breaking all the time. If it is running automatically, nobody ever touches it. It holds your data. The data is reliable, it's consistent and performant. There's not really any need today, unless you're about to hit some limit where you can't grow past something, to need to really move it. Now, if any of those aren't being met, like it's slow, you're about to hit a limit on storage, it constantly has to be fixed, that's cause for that. But yeah, you don't have to. A lot of I think people thought that you have to jump to the next shiny thing every time something new comes out. You need to have the newer, better thing.
Yeah.
At some point, yes, a lot of things will get moved to Microsoft warehouses, lakehouses that are in Fabric, but there is a time and a place when that is needed, and it doesn't have to be today, but maybe it's soon, or maybe it's in a couple years. But people can explore it whenever they want to, depending on the urgency of the need to migrate. But familiarize yourself with it, and just keep some notes in the back of your head on whenever you might need to explore building your first lakehouse. So it's a very good point.
Absolutely.
Brilliant. Otherwise, Tom, I appreciate you taking time out of your Friday evening for this. It's a pleasure as always, and I will enjoy having you back on some point in the future.
And maybe in maybe 39 or 38 days in Redmond.
Oh yeah. I will see you in person in next month. Yeah, for the MVP Summit. So looking forward to seeing you in person again.
Okay. Then bye everyone. Thanks for attending. Bye, Reed.
Yes, absolutely. Cheers. Have a good weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. And if you want to help support this channel, take a look at our channel memberships or our merchandise store for cool swag. And last but not least, please consider sharing this video on your social media platform of choice to help our channel grow. So, until next time.